Hello friends, welcome back to another session. So this session is the continuation of the previous session that we conducted about why to use Springboot. So far we have seen Springboot majorly used to reduce the Maven dependencies by using Springboot starter, and we can minimize the bean definition configuration by enabling auto configuration using Springboot, and we can centralize the configuration data into a single property file. In the last session we used application.property. We have not used so far application.yaml file. YAML is another properties file where we will configure our bean or Spring bean data, so that your Spring will create the object for that. So we will, in this session we will use application.yaml, and we will see how we can customize the default dependency. We can customize the default dependency. So we can suppose by default if we use Spring starter jdbc, it will use Hikari data source by default, but I don't want to use that one. I want to use db2, or I want to use Apache data source, something like that I want to use. So we will see that one also. So first let's see how we can use the properties file. So let's go to our previous example. So I already changed that one. Previously there was application.properties file. Now there is an application.yaml file. Just you can delete that file or you can keep that file also, no issue. The first priority it will give to properties file only. So otherwise if it is there is no property file, it will look for YAML. YAML is not there, it will give the problem. So we have given application.yaml file here. In application.yaml file, so this format is little bit different. If you see the structure of Spring.properties file, that will be something like that. Spring dot data source dot URL, there will be some URL, then same thing will be repeated like that. If you see here, spring dot data source dot password, your username, some username, similarly password, some password, something. This will be something like that. But in case of application.yaml, the pattern that is followed by this YAML file is totally different. So here you see under Spring data source is there, under data source URL is there, username is there, password is there. So far Spring and data source is same. Spring data source we are specifying. So data source will have a username, password, something like that. These three the common and mandatory properties of a Spring data source. So we have to specify in this way. But in case of YAML, we can specify in this indentation order. This should not be a tab, this can be space character. Generally keep 4 space, you can give 5 space, but each space you should have to be follow same. See, if you see here data source, under data source how much it is, 1 2 only. If you take 4, it's okay, 4, that's it. Same indentation you have to use here. If you see how much, 1 2 only. So 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 3 4, 3 4. Indentation should be same. You follow the same step. Yeah, you can take a 4 character, empty character. After this data source, it should be 4. it should be 4, this should be 4, something like that, it will work. So this is the new yet another markup language. Okay, that's it. So it will automatically read, and currently in our configuration file I have added some bean, and just you ignore this one, we do not need to have this one currently. Just comment it out, we don't need this one, we will see this one later in this session only. So I am simply okay, this is, you leave it anyway, that is we are not using here. Here this is hello, okay, comment it out here, comment it out here also. Now if I run this application, first what you should do always, you build it first. Okay, so build is successful now. After building you can run it, just click here and run as a Java application, simple. Okay, or else, yeah, this is the way you can right click on your project and you can select what is your main class. This is your main class, so yeah, you click here, okay, it will run. This is another way also, or else directly you can open this file and right click on this file and run as Java application, will work. Okay, so this is fine, okay. Another way, if you want to see how we can run, so this is, you can run in this way, run as Java application, right click on the main class and you can run it. Okay, this is fine. So we have so far what we have done, we have just used application.yaml. extension can be anything, extension either you can take YML or you can take YAML also, it's a fine. If you see here, what is our XML application.yaml file extension YAML, still it is working. I will update this one to, I'll update this to YML, not YMAL, just YML, and then I will just build it, then I will run it. It will run successfully. Extension, both extensions are okay, either application.yaml or application.yaml, YML and YML or YAML, both are okay, Now build is success, let's run and see. Yes, it is running, yes, fine. Okay, so this is fine, YAML or YAML, whatever you want to keep, it's up to your choice. Okay, YAML means yet another markup language, that's it. Okay, so this is fine. Next one is how we can customize the existing data, existing default dependency. Suppose if you observe this console here, what is the data source type? Data source is okay, I think I have already done that one, so let's remove it. Sorry, previously just I, for just testing purpose I did, so okay, remove it. Now if you observe this maven.pom, if you observe this maven, so what is there in this pom? We have added starter JDBC, Springboot starter JDBC only. JDBC related all the dependencies it will automatically add, like it will add data source and other dependency automatically, whatever is required to establish database data source connectivity will automatically do. But which data source it is using? If you open the maven dependency, and you see Hickory CP, it is using. Hickory is a data source. If you open this file, Hickory, in under Hickory config is there. Hickory config, Hickory data source, yes, Hickory data source is there. So Hickory data source is the implementation of data source. Where is this data source? Where is this data source? This data source is coming from your JDK. It's just a data source, just an interface, or you can say this is just a specification that is coming from Java x.sql.data source. It is representing data source. Data source can be anything. It can be file system data structure, it can be RDBMS, anything it can be. Just it is telling the very high level data source where your data will be sitting. That is data source. Who is going to implement this one? So many implementation are there. Hickory is one data source that is implementing. Hickory data source, that is one implementation. Another one, DB2 is another data source that is also implementing data source. Apache data source is also there, so that is also implementing data source only. So by default it is taking Hickory data source. By default your Spring is using Hickory data source. Why? Because Spring team has already did some research on this one, and the team found that Hickory data source is best in term of performance, so they directly using as a default data source as a Hickory data source. Okay, so here it is coming a default one. I don't want to use default, so just first I am running this one and we will see. Just run. Sorry, we did something wrong. Okay, this is not a main class. Okay, this is your main class, so just run this one. What happened? Okay, so same problem that what I told you. You have to either do build or do update, then you try. When you do some changes and it's not working. Okay, fine, build is success. Now run it. It is running, and you see here what is the data source. Data source is Hickory data source. Simple, Hickory data source. Template, that is okay, it is coming from Spring framework.jdbc.core jdbc template only. That's it. Fine. So by default Hickory data source is coming. I don't want. I want Apache data source, or I want DB2 data source. How I can do that one? So first thing, we need to exclude this one. We need to exclude this dependency related to data source. How we can do that? It's very simple. Just you have to use exclusion tag. Where is exclusion tag? Exclusion tag is here. Exclusion, you have to exclude it. What you want to exclude? Exclusion will have a multiple exclusions will have multiple exclusion. So one exclusion, which exclusion you want to, you have to give here group ID, and then you have to give here artifact ID, and that will be automatically excluded. Which one you want to exclude? You want to exclude Hickory CP. Where is Hickory CP? So you can do one thing. You can go to Maven dependency repository, Hickory data source Maven dependencies. This is the one way that where you will find. So yeah, this one is the Hickory data source. Okay, this is the latest version. So here this is the com dot group ID is com dot zx ZAXXER. Copy this group ID, paste it here. What is the artifact? Artifact is Hickory CP. You can get it from there also. Hickory CP version you no need. Why? Because in the last session you have already seen that to find the compatible version of a dependency automatically, compatible version of a dependencies, we are using Springboot. So we no need to specify the version, automatically or Springboot will take care. Okay, fine. So now if you see from the Maven dependency, Hickory related jar is not there. It's not there. If I delete this one and I save this pom.xml, you will see hickory.cp came in your Maven dependencies. Hickory cp 5.0.1 jar came. What is the latest version? 5.0.1 only, because we are using latest version of Maven. Latest version of Springboot. So it is taking latest version of Hickory cp. Okay, automatically it is taking Hickory cp. When I will exclude this one, it will go. When I save, you see, you observe this Maven dependency clearly, carefully you observe it. I will do once again. I'm just commenting this one, saving this one. Hickory cp is coming here. Now you observe this Maven dependency clearly. Whenever I will save this, pom.xml, you observe Maven dependencies carefully. This Hickory cp will be removed. Yes, got removed. Now if I run, what will happen? You tell me. What will happen? There is no data source available. At least one data source should be available. Find field data source in this file, required bean of data source, that could not be found. The injection point has the following annotation: auto void true. So it is considering definition of a bean of type data source in your configuration, but there is no bean configuration because there is no dependency at all. So what we need to do? Which data source then we want to use now? We want to use Apache. So one Apache dependency, just you add explicitly Apache Tomcat Apache data source you add. So just simply you go to your pom.xml and you just add the dependency anywhere in your dependencies tag. You add your dependency. You see, dependencies multiple can be there. This tag can have a multiple dependencies tag can have multiple dependency will have a group id, artifact id, version, something like that. Okay, so now if you see here, if you observe Maven dependency, there is Tomcat jdbc and Tomcat Julie 1.0 dependency came automatically. When you remove this dependency also, it will go. You observe clearly, this is where it went. There is no Apache Tomcat jdbc dependency is not there. Okay, now Tomcat jdbc dependency came. Now your Spring Boot will use this dependency. Let's run and see. Okay. same problem. What you have to do, tell me, simply write in the comment section what I should do now. You have to build it. Once this build is success, you can start running your application. Okay, yeah, this is successful. Now run it and you will see. Yeah, so now here if you see data source, now the data source, it is coming in this way: org, apache, tomcat, jdbc pool, data source is changed automatically. It is taking another one. What if I want to use db2 data source? How I can do? db2 data source, simple. db2 data source, you search in maven repository. jdbc2 data source proxy provides our data source proxy that can be injected in your logic. Okay, duplicating data source to db. Okay, let's check this one. So okay, check this one, and simply you just add this one. Version will not be required, I think. Version will not be required, just you delete this one. Version is not required, simply just do. Okay, I think version is required here. Okay, let's see. Okay, it is downloading, it will download. Okay, let's see. I think what I feel, we have copied the correct one, but that is the implementation of our data source. Let's see what happened. It will take some time to download. Let it take. It depends on your internet speed, how faster it is. If it is very faster, it will download. Okay. Okay, it's done. So let's see what happened. Why this error is there. Leave it. Okay, find why this is happening. Still it is going on. Okay, okay, done. So now what I will do, I will just do the maven build once, and sorry, I will just do. Okay, it is happening. Fine. Okay, it is success. Now try to run it. No. Okay, some problem. Yes, Hickory data source again, that is using Hickory, I think. So added, if we add this dependency, maybe it is using Hickory again. Okay, yeah, Hickory came. When we add, actually this db2 something is related to Hadoop data source. So that is again using Hickory data source only, because Hickory data source is best in term of performance. So that's why Spring is by default suggesting the best one. By default it is suggesting the best one. So you no need to do exclusion also. Not required. Not required. Okay. Fine, then just do maven update this project once. Some problem is there while reading this XML. It is okay. Fine. Let's close this once again and let's see. Application YAML is okay, this is okay, fine. Now just do once maven build. Okay, so build is success and it will default one is using Hickory data source, and if you run this one, you will see it will use the default Hickory data source. Okay, fine. So that's about how we can include and exclude. Exclusion you can do in the dependencies. Suppose jdbc Springboot starter jdbc, so it is looking for some data source, you can do exclusion. Similarly, if some other tag, like if inside your web, Spring Boot starter web, you don't want to use some default libraries, some implementation you don't want, you want some other implementation, you can write that exclusion tag in dependency. In any of the dependency you can write the exclusion tag. Under exclusions you exclude the dependency and you add your dependency explicitly in Maven. You can do in this way. Okay, fine. Next thing, Spring Boot, we have to enable the plugin inside your Spring IDE, sorry, in your Eclipse IDE. Add Spring Boot plugins in Eclipse IDE. That is we need to do. Why this is required? Because some extra advantages we are getting. I will show you that now. First thing, we need to add the plugins. Plugins is provided by Spring team, so that we can easily start our services. We can do lot of running and building tasks easily using Spring tools. So we need to add the Spring tools. And other option what we have, similarly how we are doing in our the previous labs, you can directly use Spring Toolshoot instead of Eclipse. Eclipse, if you are using, that is given by some other company. Spring Toolshoot is given by Spring team only. VM is the company name that is provided, Spring Boot, Spring framework. So their teams only has developed Spring Toolshoot by using Eclipse only, and they have integrated Spring Toolshoot inside that one by default. So you can use that one also, or else if you are using Eclipse, you have to add the plugins. If you are using NetBeans, you have to add the plugins. If you are using Intel JIDEA, you need to add the plugins. Okay, fine. So how will you add the plugins? So just simply you have to go to your help Eclipse marketplace. So in your Eclipse marketplace, what you need to do here, let's wait some time because it will load. It is loading the marketplace. Okay, so here there are some of the plugins. Suppose DBR 2, you want to add the plugins, you can add. Notepad related you want to add, you can add. Theme leaf plugins you want to add, you can add. Okay, so many. So similarly, Spring tool, you have to search Spring tools, simple. So Spring tools will come something like that, it will show. This one we have to select Spring tools 4, aka Spring Toolshoot 4.2.0 release. Spring Tool 4 is the next generation of Spring Boot tooling for your favorite coding environment, largely rebuild from scratch. It provides world class support. This, if you use Spring Tools 3, that is end of life, you should not be using this one. Okay, fine. So Yeah, it is there, this one, Spring Toolsuite 4. So simply what you need to do, just click on install, and yeah, it will start. You don't need to use this, whatever the by default is selected, you keep that. If you want, you can do that one, but it's not required. Okay, fine. Just click on confirm, and just click on finish. So you can see here it is downloading. It will take some time to download and install in your system, this plugin. So, and after that one you need to restart. It will automatically prompt you to restart your Eclipse IDE. Yeah, it's asking, you need to restart your Eclipse IDE to apply the software updates. So simply you can do it. Okay, it is restarting. I think it will take some time. Okay, fine. From this Maven repository, if you go to the home URL, you can search any dependency regarding your regarding to your pom.xml for, or you can say for your Maven, you can search any of the dependency in this. Now let's get started. It will take some time to be started. Yeah, it's fine. Now it is ready. So I was talking about Maven repository. You can search any repository here. By default it is suggesting also. Suppose I want to use Jakarta validation, latest one. So it is there, Bean validation API, like that you can search. Okay, that is fine. Now it is, your Eclipse IDE is up. You can see here from the toolbar, from this toolbar you can see here there is a one dashboard, boot dashboard is there. What is this boot dashboard? This boot dashboard, if you click here, if you click on this boot dashboard, it will open this tab, new tab, and here you see, here if you see in this boot dashboard, here it is identifying what all the application are there that is of a Spring Boot. If you see here, I will create another application. Currently you know Maven demo, that is, if you open the pom.xml, if you see this application is a type of Spring Boot, so it is automatically identifying. Automatically it is detecting which application in your Eclipse is of a type Spring Boot. Automatically detect and add here. And how can you run this application now? Very easily, just you have to click on this button, start or restart the process associated with the selected element. Simple. Or else shift control A plus B. So you just click here and it will start. Yeah, you can see it is starting this application. Yes, if you observe the console, this is started. So this is very easy way. You don't need to do anything there, like you don't need to right click on the main class, and you have to go to run on Java application. And here if you also see run as Spring Boot app came, you can run in Spring Boot application from here also. Okay, that's very simple, very simple. Just you have a Spring Boot boot dashboard only. Suppose if I create one new Maven project, simple Maven project, that's it, like group ID A B, name A B, simply. So this B application is not type of Maven, it's not a type of it's not a type of Spring Boot application. It's not identifying here, Okay, only the Spring Boot application it will be identified. Fine, that is okay. You can delete this one. How will you delete it? You want to delete from this one, you can delete it. That's it. Okay, fine. And if you want to remove any of the plugins, with this plugin we have added boot dashboard plugins we have installed. If you want to remove, you can remove it. You can just simply go to marketplace, and from the marketplace you will see here installed. One tab is there, search, recent, popular, favorite, installed. If you click on installed, it will show you what are the installed plugins. This Eclipse marketplace client by default will come in. We have installed Spring tools only. That's it. You can remove. If you want to remove, just uninstall, but we no need, because we are everything, like we are learning Spring security, Spring microservices. We need this one, that's why you keep it. Okay, fine. So what is next here? So what happen internally when you run the boot application, or you say Spring Boot application? What happens? So Spring Boot application, this is our Spring Boot application. If you see from here, it is identifying @Spring Boot application. This annotation we have marked, and in the pom.xml we are using parent project. Parent project is which one is our parent project in pom.xml? Spring Boot starter parent is there, so definitely it is your Spring Boot application. Okay, so in this Spring Boot main application, one class is there, main class should have, and that class should be marked with this annotation, or the three annotation that we have already seen in the last session: @configuration, @autoscan, enable autoscan, and @component scan. Okay, so what happens when you are running this application? What happens? First, the main method of the application will be called. Which main method? Whatever the application that is starting your Spring Boot application. In our case, main application is main class. This is our main class only. Name itself I have given main class. You can give any name. Okay. Then public static void main will be called. Yes, that is the starting point of every Spring application. Okay, next one, the main method must have at least the following statement to create a Spring container. This statement is required to start your Spring Boot application. So first statement, if you see here, we have this statement only. This is not required, only this first statement is enough to be ready your Spring Boot application. Okay, so that's fine, that steps is happening. Then what this run method is doing, if you see here, there is a run method. We are calling Spring application dot run. This method we are running, we are calling this method, and we are passing the main class. Wherever we have marked this annotation, we are passing that class. So this class itself we are passing, and plus this argument, whatever argument we are collecting from here. Okay, after that one, whatever the task is remaining, that is as per our requirement, the task that we have written. Okay, from here, after this line execution, your Spring container will be ready. So what happens at the run method, we have to see. So first, what it will do, Spring container is creating a new application context by using annotation configuration application. One dummy or one empty application context your Spring is creating. This run method is creating application dot run is creating. Then what it is happening, the run method will scan all the components of a stereotype annotation and create the beans. Stereotype annotation is which one? Whatever the classes are marked with @component, controller, service, repository, and scan all the components where it will scan, where your Springboot application will scan or your Spring container will scan, where it will scanning. It is scanning the package. It is scanning the packages that packages of the class whatever we are passing. Which class we are passing? Main class we are passing. Where is this main class? Main class is available under com.techhub.mv and demo. So in this package it is scanning all the components. So is there any component currently in this package? In this package, yeah, one component is there, my service is there, that is marked with @service. But this package is com.techhub.mavendemo.config, but main class config. So this is a sub package. Main class package is com.techhub.mavendemo, but this package has a sub package also. Sub package is configuration. So scan all the components of stereotype annotation and create the beans. So where it will scan? It will scan in the main class package and inside all the sub packages it will scan, and it will check is there any classes that is marked with any stereotype annotation. Stereotype annotations are @component, @controller, @service, @repository. If any classes are there that is marked, it will create the object for that beans. Simple. Then the bean will be loaded into the container. Okay. Then in the second step, what it is doing, it is detect the bean definition from one or more configuration file. Which configuration file? Suppose I have a hello.java, one class is there. I have hello.java, one class is there. I want to create the object for this class. Manually. So I need a bean config class. So this is our bean configuration class. And inside bean configuration I am creating hello object manually. Hello object I am creating manually. So, but this class bean configuration is marked @configuration. So this is a bean configuration class. This class is a bean configuration class. So what your Spring will do now? Your Spring will detect all the bean definition that can be from one or more configuration class. Like that, this @configuration class, bean configuration class can be one or can be many. It's up to your choice. You want to define 10 configuration class, you can define. One configuration class, you can define. So currently we are taking a one. So from all the bean configuration class, detect the beans definition from one or more configuration class marked with this @configuration annotation. After this one, after creating the object, it will load all the beans founded from configuration file into the Spring container. It will load that one. So first it is scanning the package, and for stereotype annotation it is creating the object and loading the object. Second, it is searching for the bean configuration class where we are creating manually our beans. So it will detect that classes and it will create the object and load the. Third one, it is prepare the condition evaluation report. What is this one? Like if you are adding jdbc starter maven dependency, so data source has to found. So that is a condition evaluation check. Yeah, this is a condition. I want to start data source, so I need jdbc, so I need a data source, so that is a conditional. So that conditional it will check, yeah, data source configuration it will see, and then it will auto configure the bean. Okay, and last it will check if your class is implementing command line interfaces, command line runner or not. If the boot main class is implementing the command line runner, then then only override run method will be called. So this is the flow. So let's see how you will verify whether first it is going to scan the stereotype annotation. So stereotype annotation is this one. Suppose I have created a new class, so new package service, 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 simple. Okay, and this my service I am moving to this one, simple. Yeah, moved, fine, my service is moved, and okay, fine. Here we have defined one new hello class. There is nothing, just constructor I am creating, so that whenever anyone is creating this object for hello, this statement will be printed. Okay, and service class, if you see in the service class also I have injected this hello, and here I am printing also. Okay, that's it. Yeah, here also I am printing, simply just I have injected auto add hello. This is a previous one that we have seen in the data source and jdbc. Okay, and in the bean configuration, just simply I have created the hello bean, or else if you want to write here some statement, you can write that also, creating creating hello bean, simple. Okay, creating hello bean, that's it. After that we are just creating and returning, fine. And in my service also I have created the constructor. We don't have constructor. Yeah, constructor we have. So whenever anyone is creating the object for my service, it will call this one. Okay, so I think this is over, coding is over. Now if I run, which statement will print fast as per our method steps, our algorithm, how internally it is running, how we will check. So first, yeah, definitely it will run the main method, definitely it will run the main method. So how will you see whether it's running a main method? So I just start here, just write here some SOP. Springboot application starting, simply. Okay, starting, then it is creating, here it is coming, then not, that's okay. So first it should print Springboot application starting. Yes, first it should print this one. Then according to the second step, okay, this will create, okay, then it is scanning all the component of a stereotype and create the object for the bean. So in this case, stereotype annotation is available for my service. My service has a one stereotype annotation @ service, or you can mark @ component repository, but service is suitable here. So it should print, after printing Springboot application starting, it should print my service being created, and data source null, jdbc template null, hello null. Why? Because data source, when it will create a data source is a conditional evaluation check, it is auto configuration. So auto configuration when will happen auto configuration? Auto configuration is happening at the last second step is happening auto configuration. So at this point, at first step, first it will print Springboot application starting, then it is going for the stereo type annotation check. Under stereo type annotation check, we have created these 3-4 statements. So this data source jdbc template, this should be null, this should be null. Then it is going for to detect the bean configuration class. So if you see the bean configuration class, we have one bean configuration class. Under bean configuration class, I have written one config creating hello bean, I am printing. So it should print, then it should print creating hello bean. Okay, when you are calling this method, it should print hello bean created. Okay, after that what it should do, it should do the condition evaluation report check, like data source jdbc, whatever auto configuration is there. So it will do auto configuration after that one. Whatever the configuration that we specified, first is that priority. It is priority, first priority is it is giving to stereo type annotation. Second priority it is giving to configuration bean class. Third priority it is giving to auto configuration, and fourth one it is doing what? It is checking for command line runner. If is there, then you do, otherwise ignore this one. So we will do that also. Implements command line runner. Okay, so just implement command line runner, and you have to override the run method. Just simply I am printing here. This is command line runner. Simply command line runner. Simple. That's it. So now it should run in this way. Okay, so now let's run this one and see. So if you are using boot dashboard, you don't need to worry about building, updating, it will work. That is the best advantage that we are getting. Okay, you see. Now you see. Just observe the console now carefully. My service being created. Before to that one, it should print Springboot application starting. It is printing here. It is starting Springboot application. Then internally what happens? Then internally it is creating application context. Springboot application done is create a Spring container by this statement. So when this statement is executing annotation config application context, it is printing this much. Then it is my service being creating. Where is my service? My service is available under stereo type annotation. My service is available under stereo type annotation. Okay, then it is loading fine inside the container. Then it is going for the configuration, bean definition configuration files. So bean definition configuration file, it is going to create hello. And before to see that also, you see when the my service object is created, data source jdbc template and hello are initialized with the default value null, because the steps creating hello bean and auto configuration is happening after that one. So that object itself is not ready. So how it will be doing that one? Using setter injection it is doing. Okay, then it is creating a hello bean. After creating hello bean, it is initializing, it is creating the auto configuration steps we cannot check here. How? Because that class is already written, we cannot add any any constructor or any static block or instance block we cannot add, and we cannot do that one for that purpose. But here we can understand from this flow itself, it is happening in the same way how we have given. Condition evaluation check, auto config happen, then we have implemented command line runner, so it is executing command line runner also. After that one, whatever the operation we are doing here, it is printing. Okay, so this is how it is doing internally, what happens internally when you run the Spring Boot application. Okay, so this is all about in this session. In the next session we will start RabbitMQ and Kafka we will see later. First we will start RabbitMQ and RabbitMQ, Kafka, Spring Security, Spring Microservice we will see now. All we will learn one by one. Okay, so keep watching us, keep supporting us, ask your comment in comment section, and thanks for watching and have a nice day. Goodbye.